Hello everyone, this is my fifth tutorial. And in the last tutorial, we have some issues, right? And after some investigation, I fixed those issues. Let's play the game. And take it to the maximize mode. You can see that now it works correctly, right? The body didn't rotate around and it could hit the sticks and could also hit the balls. So I will tell you what I have done for this. So firstly, let's have a check at the box collider or rigged body. We can see that here there is a parameter called constraints. We know that because we hope that our character could collide with the sticks, right? This is our character. We hope that it could interact with the sticks. So to make this happen, at least one of them must have a rigged body. So this means our player has to have a rigged body, or the stick must have a rigged body. But if we put the rigged body, if we install the rigged body to the stick, that means this stick can be moved because it's a rigged body, right? So if the character hits the stick will move. But that isn't what we want. We hope the stick is fixed, right? So the only thing we can do is to add the rigged body to the character. But there will be an issue that if we add the rigged body to the character could rotate, right? And it could rotate to different directions. That isn't what we want. So we could use this parameter to freeze its rotation, right? Freeze its rotation, okay? So let's tick this X, Y, Z. So this will constrain the rotation of our character. This is what we want. And on the other hand, we still hope to remove the character because we want to use WSAD, these four keys to control our character. So when we press A, the character should be moved left, right? So we will implement the rotation in our code. Okay. And let's have a look at our code. This is what I add for the rotation, right? And let's ignore the condition at first. And here, right, this is the input vertical and horizontal. So we use this function attending to, okay, and look at its command. It returns the angle in radians whose tangent is y to x. So this basically means that this is the x axis and the blue arrow is the z axis, right? And we if we click D, we hope the character to move along the x axis, and if we click W, we hope the character to move along the blue axis. So because this parameter corresponds to W and this corresponds to D, so if we calculate W to D, So this angle is basically just the angle, okay? The angle between the red arrow and the blue arrow. So this is what we calculate. But I need to subtract half pi. The reason for that is the object is normally in its original position, it is face towards the blue arrow, right? So this means when I click W, I hope it doesn't rotate at all. So if I click W, this attaining the value, the return value of this function will be half pi, and we hope it to become 0. So this is why I need to subtract that, right? And we need to transform it to degree. So I times this parameter red to deg to transform it to degree, and use this value in the next function. The vector 3.up corresponds to the green arrow. It corresponds to the green arrow. So we want to move around the green arrow. So I use this vector to times the angle. And the minus, why there is a minus? Because the unity, okay? Unity normally, if you rotate anti-clockwise, it is positive. And if you rotate clockwise, if you rotate clockwise, it is positive. And if you rotate anti-clockwise, it is negative, right? So it's on the opposite to our normal rotation. If you have take some math course, right? In a math course, if you rotate anti-clockwise, it is positive, right? So the angle is this angle. It is calculated according to the math criteria. But this unity, the standard of unity is on the opposite of our math standard. So this is why I add a minus here, right? So by this true function, the character could rotate to the correct direction after the pressing of the WSAD. But there is still an issue. In the case that one of the two values is 0. If both of the values are 0, right? If both of them are 0, for some reason the output of this function won't be 0, because 0 divided by 0 there is no meaning. So the output value is not what we want. So in this case, that both of the two values are 0. That just means we didn't press any buttons. So in this case, we don't want our character to rotate at all. So if both of them are 0, we didn't perform these two functions, right? So I add this conditional here. And by this piece of code, our character could rotate to the correct direction as what we want. And okay, so it's very simple. let's review what we did to fix the bugs in the last tutorial. First, I just add these constraints here to prevent the character to rotate when it collides with the stick. And the other thing I do is that add this piece of code to rotate it manually, manually by the code. This is what I do. So let's run it again. And make it maximize. You can see that I press, it always rotates to the correct direction. And if I press J, you can see that the stick, the stick in his hand will move. This is an animation. I think it's not an animation, a standard animation, but it's some animation which I made. I will tell you how to implement this. If I press J, the stick will move, right? So this is a kind of attack. It looks weird, but in this tutorial, at this stage, we just show you how to implement it. Let's ignore the details right now. And here is what I did to make the stick movable. So let's go to the stick, and we add a script to the stick, right? But in fact, this script doesn't work at all. This script doesn't work at all. So let's go to the play controller, and here we can see that I add 3 variables here. In fact, more than 3 variables. You can see that here is the stick, right? Here is the stick, and I add this piece of code. So transform.findStick.gameObject. This is a method to find the child object. So this transform is our player's transform, right? This transform comes from the player. So it is the player's transform is this one, and the transform has a parent and child relationship. So by the transform, we could find the children of the transform, right? We could find one child of the transform, and we find stick. Okay. This is the child name, the name. So we can see that its name is stick, right? So by this function, we could find the transform of the stick. So we use the transform of player to find the transform of the stick. And after that, we use the .gameObject, the attribute gameObject, to find the object of the stick. So this means Unity has the ability for us to find the object by the object's transform. This transform is the object's transform, and we could use the transform of the object to find the object. Okay, so we find the stick, and then we hope to move the stick. So the method I implement is by using a coroutine. This is a new concept, probably a new concept if you follow up my tutorials. And the function is to start a coroutine, right? I won't explain more what a coroutine is. You can search Google or ChatGPT to get to know the concept, because to explain it takes some time. So I won't do it in this tutorial. basically something like a thread, but a little different. So by this function, we could start a coroutine, and the method to call it is to first we need to implement a function, okay, a method, and the method need to return this class enumerator. In fact, I'm not very familiar with what it is, but to make it work, we need to return this one, and then we could input our start coroutine is a string, right? So the string should be this. The string should be stick animation. So it should be like this. But if we input this, we may make some mistakes. For example, I may make a typo error, but I didn't realize it. So a better way to call it is use a macro. I'm not sure if you know what macro is, but I will explain maybe next tutorial. Okay. So basically, this will return a string. Stick animation, the string of animation. So by this way, we can call this method, okay, in the coroutine. And let's see what we did in this function. It looks a little bit complicated. So let's go one step by one step. The first, I get the local position of the stick. So why I want to find the local position? You can see that there are two positions. Okay, it could be a position. So if we put our mouse on it, and we can see the command, the world space position of the transform. This means the position is the world position. And if we use local position, it's a position relative to the parent transform. I think I have made a small mistake that I forgot to interpret what is local coordinate and world coordinates. But let's have a try. Okay, you can see that here there is a local and global. So if I choose an object and choose it to global, and it doesn't change, this means that the coordinates are the same. The global and local coordinates of our character are the same. So let's make something different. Okay, let's create a new object. In the same, I want to create an object. For example, a capsule. You can see it's a very big capsule, and I could rotate it a little bit. Oh, sorry. And then switch back to the coordinate. You can see that the coordinates looks like this, and if we switch to global, it looks like they are different. This is because I rotated it, right? So basically, the local coordinate is relative to the parent, and the global is relative to the world. Okay. So here we want to get the local position. Why? Because the stick is attached to our character. So the movement of the stick should be relative to our character, right? If the character looks towards the left, then the stick, okay? Basically, the movement of the stick should be relative to the character. So this is, and it is a child of the character. So this is why we use local coordinator. And we get the endpoints. This is a vector. This vector describes the tragedy, okay, the movement of our stick. So we add the vector and get the endpoints of the stick. In fact, I haven't make the stick rotatable, so just ignore this this line of code. It is not used. And then this is what our many animation comes from. And we can see that the elapsed time is 0, right? And this is a loop. This is a loop. And in each of the loop, we add the delta time to the elapsed time. So the delta time is the time interval between two frames. And so this function will be called in each will be called repeatedly, again and again. But we may notice that here is a return function, right? Yield return. So when the logic comes to this line, okay, this means just this line. This function will return. And until the next time, okay, until the next time this function is called, then it will call this function from the position it returns. So it will implement another loop, right? So this means that this function will be called in each loop, and the time duration will be accumulated until our enemy duration. So this is our enemy duration. This means how long our animation will last, right? And we put the animation divided by 2. I will explain why here we divide by 2. And if the elapsed time is less than it, okay, we will call it again. We will move the stick. So why here is a loop, right? Because we want to know between the start pose and end pose. We hope our stick could move smoothly from the start pose to end pose. And but in fact, it can't be continuously, because in computer there are no continuously. All the things are discrete. So we need to interpolate, right? Interpolate or loop. So this is the loop, and we calculate use the elapsed time divided by the enemy duration. So this means our stick will move, okay, move from start to end pose exactly in time duration, okay, in fact half of the time duration, right? So this is what we want, and we write code like this. And after the stick moved to the front end of the character, we hope it can move back to his hand. So this is what this logic, this piece of code did. In fact, it just performs once and return until the next time, okay? I think this code there is some small issue in this code, maybe. Okay, but it works. Okay, but it works. I will try to figure it out in the next tutorial. But here, let's just ignore it because we didn't specify a time here. But this code can work correctly. So let's just ignore it in this tutorial. And at last, we will reset the position of the stick, right? So make it to the start pose. I also add a bool variable I as in stick enemy. So this means that if I press J and the stick is still in the enemy animation, it won't trigger the coroutine again. This is what we want, right? So we can see that here is the key code J. So with this piece of code and the stick animation, so we could animate our stick. Let's go back and have a look again. Yes, this is what we want. But since I'm using the animation, I'm making the animation by myself, right? I use hard code to make the animation, but not the animation of Unity, right? There is the mechanics of animation by Unity. So the result is that my stick can't hit with the ball. You can see, oh, it hit the ball. Yeah, it hit the ball, right? The ball is moved. Oh, I'm not very sure if it hit the ball. I think probably didn't, because the ball is hit my body, hit the character of my body. It doesn't hit the stick. Okay? Let's have a check. So we can see that here we add a script for the stick, and we add 2 debug logs here, but the debug log is never triggered. So this means our stick never hits the enemy. And we have, you can see that there is a box slider on the stick. And let's go to our enemies. These are our enemies. And we can see that it has a sphere collider, and it also has a rigged body. So this means that this function will be triggered. But in fact, it is not triggered. Okay? So this is something which looks weird, looks unreasonable, right? Why it didn't trigger? In fact, I'm not quite sure why it's not triggered. But it probably because that the animation is made in the coroutine. It's not made in the update function, right? Because this is the code, and in the coroutine we call the animation, and in the animation the stick moved, right? The stick moved and it should hit the ball, but this is not triggered. So this is a very classic issue. I think it's one of the classic issues you may meet when you are beginner to Unity. Yeah, you may meet this issue, and some issue looks like this. So this is why we need to learn from mistakes. Okay, you definitely will have an opportunity to meet this issue because you don't handle the mechanics of the Unity animation, right? You just try to implement animation by yourself, right? So what can we do to fix this? And in fact, I will fix this in the next tutorial. But in this tutorial, let's just have a search of the Unity animation. document. In fact, I have searched a lot of websites, but I didn't find a satisfactory answer. So at last, I came to the official documentation of Unity. And let's go to the animation page. Oh, sorry, this isn't what I want. And okay, you can see that here there is a animation, and just click it. It has an animation system overview, and it's briefly introduced you what the animation works. And I could open the animation window. So because I want to control the animation of the stick, so I first choose the stick and click the window. Then here is the animation, and we click animation. You can see that animation window pops out, and we could put it to anywhere we want, and we can use this to make animation. Okay, to make animation of the stick. Here is a brief introduction of the animation workflow. In fact, I tried to find some YouTubers, but I didn't find one which I'm satisfied with. So at last, I found the official documentation. And here is a brief of how the animation works. Let's go to the next page. I have read some of this documentation, and it says that there are two ways to make animation in Unity. Okay, there are basically two ways. One is to import animation from outside source, like third-party software such as Maya and Max, 3D Max, Autodesk, or something like that. And it is also possible to make animation just by Unity. And this is what we will do in the next tutorial. We will try to create an animation by the Unity mechanisms in the next tutorial. Okay? So here said animation created and edited within Unity. So this is what we want to use in the next tutorial. And hopefully we will use to improve the animation of the stick of our character. Okay, so basically I will follow these tutorials. Okay, this official tutorial. I usually didn't want to refer to the official documentation because official documentation is often very long and too details. So YouTube videos is much more visual and much more friendly, but we will to get a good understanding of the how the animation system of Unity works. We will follow its documentation before the next tutorial. Okay, so basically you could also refer to this documentation, and you could make an animation just by Unity. This is what we want. Okay, so this is to make the tutorial as short as possible. I will just finish this tutorial. And in this tutorial, we just fix some bugs of the last tutorial, and we made our character turn to the correct direction, and also we add animation to the stick. The animation isn't very good, but it works, right? And the animator could always turn to the correct direction as we want. So in the next tutorial, I will refine the animation and make the stick could hit the ball and something like that. Okay. So this is the end of this tutorial, and thanks for your attention. In fact, I'm not very professional at making tutorials, and I hope I can improve, but yes, time is always a problem for me. And I still hope to have some improve my English speaking, right? But it also takes time. Anyway, thank you for your attention and see you next tutorial.